don't look at me, at the characters. I wrote them, but I didn't invent them. It is said this man created the Chinese character 7,000 years ago. His name is Cang Jie. He was born with 4 pupils and 4 eyes. He was very smart. He could see things deeply. The Yellow Emperor heard about him. He came to Cang Jie. He asked, I just united China. I want to know how many people I have and how much food I own. Can you do it? Cang Jie looked at the emperor. He blinked his 4 eyes, thought for a while. Yes, I can. He used colored ropes, each color for a tribe. And he made a knot. They have 50 people. And he made another knot. They have 100 pigs. This system worked quite well. The emperor was happy. He said, you should count the mountains and the rivers too. Time went by. Population grew. More animals are raised. More crops are planted. And Cang Jie started to make mistakes. One day, a big family get very little food and small family get a lot. 2 families quarreled. Quarrel became fight, and fight turned into a war. And the emperor came to Cang Jie again. 混账! Your mistake cost me thousands of lives. Stop tying these stupid ropes and think something new. Otherwise, Cang Jie closed himself into a cave. He thought very hard, day and night, but he couldn't find a solution. And one morning, he heard some noises outside. He came out. He saw 2 hunters. They were arguing. One hunter said, we should go south, there are deer. And the other hunter said, no, no, we have to go north, there are tigers. If we don't catch the tigers, we never have the chance again. And Cang Jie asked the hunters, how do you know? Ah, look, the footprints. This heart-shaped footprint, that's from a deer. And here has a big paw with 4 dots, that's of a tiger. And Cang Jie looked at the hunters, smiling broadly and said, thank you and thank you. He danced into the forest. And he told himself, if footprints can be used to tell animals apart, I can make symbols to describe everything. He made a circle for the sun, zigzag line for mountains, and long strokes for river. But where can I put down all the symbols? If I carve them on the wood, wood will rot. And if I engrave them on stone, the stone will be too heavy to carry. He was thinking. And suddenly he stumbled. Under his foot lay a tortoise, a land turtle, on its back, waving its legs desperately, trying to turn over, and stretched out his hand to help. And Cang Jie saw this white belly shell with some marks on it. He knew exactly what he should do. He camped back to the village. He asked everyone bring back tortoise. Thousands of tortoises. They had a big tortoise feast. I know Chinese people are a little bit strange. After people finished eating, Cang Jie collected all the belly shells and he started to put down the symbols. When he wrote down the last symbol, it is said the ghosts and spirits were crying because from that moment, human being got the power to compete. and the heavens opened. It rained grain, as if to say, well done. The beginning. This is a symbol of a woman. You see, head, arm, and woman has a belly. In the belly, there's a baby with head down and the body up. The beginning of life. I was born with 2 eyes and 2 pupils. Nothing very special. In 1995, I was preparing my trip to the Netherlands. And family members, friends, they all came to ask, hey, She, where are you going? I tell them, I go to Henan. I mean, 1995, no Google, no Wikipedia. So Henan, it's a country in Europe. And they have tulips, windmills. They make Philips televisions. Philips televisions? That's very good TV and it never breaks. It's such a great country you are going. I knew. I went to Delft to study industry design. You know, I mean, if you study in Delft, it's so hard to find a room. All the popular student room, they interview, only choose the most popular girls. I was not. But finally, I found the one room. It's in an old Dutch house, so Rijtjeshuis. The first day, I opened the door. I saw a steep staircase in front of me, with a filthy carpet on it. 2 male students were living there. I went up, first floor, second floor, until I arrived at the attic. There was my room, 10 square meters, and half of the room was under slanted roof, where I could hardly stand up. But downstairs, everything was so high. I mean, the coat rack, the mirror, and even the toilet. So every morning, before I left for school, I had to jump to grab my coat. And I had to jump several more times to see myself in the mirror. At school, we have this computer drawing lessons. In one lesson, the teacher came in. He said, you have studied AutoCAD software for a while, and today I give you a test. For 15 minutes, you are going to design an espresso machine. Espresso machine. I didn't know what it was. What is an espresso machine? It's a kind of machine that makes coffee. Coffee. Coffee I knew. Just the day before I left China, my father came home with a nice package in his hand. It's a shining box with gold and red. In the middle, there was a small opening where I could see a bottle of brown powder and a bottle of white powder, and asked my father, what is it? And my father said, oh, that's coffee. I mean, that still, it's 1995. Nobody drinks coffee, but now you know there are Starbucks everywhere in China. But at that time, nobody drank coffee. So we give this as a gift for very important people. And my father at that time was in charge of constructing an airport, so he is kind of important. And after a while, he gave this package to another important person. And after a month, my father received again, a package of coffee. And it was the same box. Okay, coffee machine. I think I can draw something. I make a jar to have the coffee. A nice bowl for the coffee powder. I made a cylinder as a water tank where water can be boiled. I even changed the cylinder to a curved line to make it look like a design. I showed the teacher, look. This is not an espresso machine. Luckily, the teacher was very tolerant to foreign students. I was allowed to keep studying. After 6 years, I graduated. I adjusted myself to the Dutch culture, and I even bought myself an espresso machine. And in the design company I started work, I thought I would be a fancy designer, just draw some lines and earn thousands of euros. But I ended up sitting in front of the computer the whole day to calculate the exact thickness of the housing of a vacuum cleaner. I quit. I went to teach Chinese, and I became a Chinese teacher, and also quite good Chinese teacher. So all the students, they came to ask me, say, "She, can you recommend us a good Chinese grammar book?" But at that time, there was only one, and it was not so good. I also saw some misunderstandings in the media. Like, a newspaper said, "You have to learn 10,000 Chinese characters to speak Chinese fluently." That's not true. You only need 1,000. And then a magazine, it said, "Look, we have. The apple is delicious. The apples are delicious. And you Chinese people, apple delicious. There are hardly any grammar rules. You just pile up words randomly." How come? I mean, each language has its own grammar. So when a publisher came to me and asked me to write a grammar book, I said yes immediately. It took me 2 years, hundreds of hours to write. I made hundreds of files in the computer. And in the 2 years, I also had a baby. At that time, at home, baby crying, husband complaining, mother-in-law criticizing. With all the noises going on, I finished the book. And I handed it to the publisher. After a month, I got the revised text back. I turned on the computer, I opened the file. It was all red. All the texts are marked red, and I had to rewrite everything. Conflict. Spear with some tassels under the tip. And this is not a random symbol, it's a shield. Shield, the hand, hold the shield to protect the eye. Conflict. Hester is the editor. She is a tall and slender Dutch lady. She wore well-tailored dresses, and she had a nice red leather handbag. And she planned our appointment at least 1 week in advance. And she was very polite and always on time. And one day she asked, "Could you please explain how many words are there in ni hao?" I guess many people know ni hao. What is it? Yeah, hello, so it's one word. But ni means you, and hao is good. So it can also mean you are fine, you are healthy, and you are a good person. So I told her, it depends. It depends? It's either one word or 2 words. Discussions like this repeated in almost every appointment. It reminds me how I learned Tai Chi. My Chinese teacher will say, "Pay attention to your movements and make them in harmony with your body, and make sure your body is balanced." The German teacher in Amsterdam, he told me, "Is your right arm now at 45-degree angle?" Keep your left hand index finger as high as your nose tip, and keep it for 1 minute. The editor wanted me to put every word in its category, while I was trying very hard to give her the general picture of Chinese language. And it's very flexible and constantly changing. I cannot talk to this lady. It's like 鸡同鸭讲, which means a duck is talking to a chicken. I was on the verge of quitting, but there was this burning question in my head. Why? Why did I want to write a grammar book? Because I believe Chinese language is simple and different. Compromise. You see the uppermost symbol with 3 dots? That's a hand. And this symbol, can you recognize? It's there, a woman with a belly. So that's a man's hand. Usually, it used to be hand from a man. A man suppresses a woman. So you know it's an Asian language. This symbol is a working song. It's like hoo, ha, hoo, ha. And here is the strength with drops of sweat to combine all the strength to reach one goal. Compromise. In Taiji, I have also learned, if somebody gives me a punch, I have to accept it, and then guide it slightly away from me. So when this editor gives her structured opinion, I have to accept that too, and put a little bit Chinese flexibility to make Chinese language understandable. And I think this is exactly what this book needs for those who has the same structured mind. With this attitude, I could finally work with the editor. The process was still long, but bearable. And after months of working, the grammar book was finished. I was published too. I guess now you know. Yeah, woman. Woman, very important. But this is no baby anymore. It's become a child. But some people say also it's a man. We know there's not much difference between man and woman. Okay, so women, man, child, they together. Good. Yeah.